Well, that should net us followers.
Leave that to me. I've got an in.
I can see the headlines now. New trailer sucks. New trailer kicks ass. New trailer is, kind of okay.
You do game reviews on the side, Wrench?
I dabble.
Hey guys, this is Jack Lockjaw, and this is my review of Watchdogs 2. The first Watchdogs was much maligned for how little it delivered on what people were expecting on nearly every level. I didn't hate that game. In fact, I went on to get the Platinum Trophy fairly quickly. It was one that was not too difficult to achieve. In spite of putting some decent time into the game, I was not compelled to pick up any of the game's DLC. So I went into the sequel with Watchdogs 1 firmly in the alright category of gaming experiences. With that in mind, I encourage players to forget about the original Watchdogs when taking Watchdogs 2 into consideration, because it's a very different experience in nearly every way. First off, this is pretty much a playable, modernized version of the 1995 film Hackers. You're immediately introduced to a ragtag group of allies that consist of eccentric, bizarrely dressed computer geniuses. All of them are lighthearted, nerdy personalities, and basically have no offensive ideas that clash with the main protagonist. They're all pretty much insta-pals that joke around and rib each other while offering undying support for every cause that one of them comes up with. While they contribute to the fun factor of the game, they're pretty much the only other characters. There is a villain, and there are some immediately forgettable side characters and sub-villains, but overall, the fact that the only real personalities are the ones in your hideout really gives the game a feel of having almost no stakes. The singular drive of the story is just generally standing up to the man. They fight against big corporate interests that mirror the corporations and institutions of our world. Every single one of them is stealing information or privatizing public services, and just generally trying to control the populace. Of course, it is up to our heroes to dig around and find the truth, and expose the evil corporations in some really brief, eye-vomit videos that punctuate every string of missions. Though I get it. How fun would this game be if you had to sit through Zeitgeist after every mission was completed? In spite of their need to expose the truth behind everything, there is no urgency to any of this. Since this is an open world game, and they want to allow you the freedom to do as you please at any time, the story seems meandering. I forgot what I was doing much of the time, because each mission is presented to you in little chunks that can mostly be done in any order. The missions felt very disconnected. The first game, while problematic, had more of a focus. I may have appreciated a more linear approach to the main quest, with some side quests sprinkled throughout. Of course, it being an open world game, this has the same type of world as the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry games, where you'll be presented with large areas covered in icons that represent minor collectibles. Not all of these were necessarily boring to do. Some were actually fairly delightful puzzles that took some thinking to figure out. Much of the time, you're awarded with an upgrade point, which is nice. But from time to time, you just get a new skin for your guns or a bag of cash. The excitement from getting a bag of cash is practically non-existent, since money is rarely needed, and you can basically get it anywhere with little effort. I found that I wanted to ignore most of these things rather than pull over for every little icon that popped up on the map. The multiplayer was a similar beast. Since it happens randomly, I often felt like I was being presented with a multiplayer opportunity when I already had my sights set on a different goal. I couldn't be bothered to participate but for a few times. I tend to think this is more fun for people who are enjoying the sandbox element of the game, or perhaps just running around and mopping up collectibles. Personally, I'm more of an objective-based player, so once I'm engaged in a series of missions, I'm more compelled to ignore everything else. I found that where I had the most fun with this game is when I went in with a completely non-lethal hacking-based gameplay. Many, not all, but many missions are designed where you don't even necessarily have to set foot in the properties you're infiltrating. From time to time, you are required to interact with an object in person, which I did find annoying considering the playstyle that I liked the most. Between your jumper and your drone, you can generally do everything you need to do from the safety of a street or a crane lift. You can go into the game guns a-blazing and treat the game like a full-on Grand Theft Auto clone, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people that care about ludo-narrative dissidence, whatever, might care that they are playing a good-natured hacker or anti-corporation freedom fighter that wants to open the eyes of the public and yet has no qualms about mowing down rent-a-cops with a machine gun. I chose to go non-lethal as much as possible, but full Rambo is a totally legitimate way to play if that's where you have the most fun. The game also has these little puzzle sections that you have to do surprisingly often, usually to unlock interaction points. I did like these, but I felt like the difficulty never got very high. Once I got the hang of it, they were always a breeze to do. I think I would have enjoyed if they included some more complex versions of these in the game. I think this game was a surprise for most people. It was a big departure from the first Watchdogs in every way. Character, tonality, gameplay for the most part, and story structure. I do think it suffers some from trying to be a little bit of everything to everyone, but it is overall a decently fun game. Thank you for watching, everyone. You can find me on Twitter under Jack Lockjaw. I'm also on rare occasion on Twitch, also under Jack Lockjaw. And you can send me email at corruptsavemail@gmail.com. I have some new videos in the pipeline. I still need to play and review The Last Guardian, and of course Resident Evil 7 is coming up at the end of the month. As a huge and longtime Resident Evil fan, I will have a lot of opinions about that game. I'm also thinking of other non-review videos that might be in the pipeline soon, but if anyone has any ideas, feel free to send them my way. Thanks again, and have a good one.
Al pendejo de Chad, con su pinche...
Give me a break. You're fucked in the head, you know that, dumbass? Whoa, the ultimate loser.
Ve a molestar a alguien más. Eres toda una maravilla, ¿no? Qué lindura de persona. Te llevaste la de oro. Máximo imbécil.
I thought we were safe from things like this.